Welcome to the video from Chapter 1, Reasoning and Geometry, that focuses on Lesson 2, Points, Lines, and Planes. By the end of this lesson, we should be able to answer, how do we draw and name points, lines, and planes? Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to work our way into completing and labeling this diagram and filling in this chart about points, lines, rays, line segments, and planes. Okay, so we can see here that everything is labeled. This is a point, it's just a dot. Then we have our ray, CD. This one is a line. Notice that there are arrows in both directions. We have our line segment here, which stops at either end. And then this is a plane. So we're going to take these labeled diagrams, so please make sure you are labeling them on your notes. And we're going to now fill in the chart that matches them. All right, the description part of the chart, let's go through each one individually here. So a point, now I've included the label diagrams from the previous slide. You do not have to recreate them because on your notes they're right above it, so please don't feel the need to do that. This is just so they're on the same screen for this video. A point is zero-dimensional. It's theoretically not drawn, okay? There's no dimension to it. It is literally just a dot. That's a point. A line is one-dimensional. It has an infinite number of points, which is why there are arrows in both directions. And though I've labeled a point A, B, and C, there are infinite many of them along the whole line extending forever in either direction. A ray is also one-dimensional. It has one endpoint, still infinite points though, like the line, because it does go on forever in the other direction. So a ray has one endpoint and goes on forever in the other direction. Line segment, also one-dimensional, has two endpoints. There's a start and a stop. So those are the endpoints and that is it. There are points in between here, but it's not an infinite number of points because there's a starting and a stopping point. And then the plane might be something that's a little weird or new for you. This is two-dimensional. It never ends. I want you to think of a force field. That's what a plane is. It's created using three nonlinear lines, nonlinear points. So I, H, and J are not connected in any way to create a line, not a single line. So together, the three of them create what's called a plane. Finishing out the charts with the name column. From this picture, this would be named point P. The line actually has two names. You can call it line M because of this little cursive M here, or you can call it line AB. You can also call it line AC or BC. There's lots of choices with your letters there. But please come over here and make sure that your A and B has a double arrowhead on top of it so it indicates a line. Because you'll see with the ray, this has to be, the first letter has to be the end point of a ray. So the end point has to match with the end point on the ray. So it is C over here, so it needs to be C first. And then it always goes to the right. And then so CD, this would be ray, CD, again with a single arrow. The line segments, EF or FE, it doesn't matter which order you put those in, and it's just a short line with no arrows for that naming. And then the last one, this is plain G, sorry, that's my cursive G there, and that's coming from this G that's on the plane but does not have a point. That's how I know this one is plain G. You could also use the three letters in any order to identify the plane also. So that's some naming. Okay, so I'm not going to talk my way through this part of the examples. This is what I'd like you guys to go ahead and do, practicing your drawing and naming on these charts. So we'll see what you come up with. Okay, I hope you guys did fair enough completing the drawing and the naming in the chart yourself. I'll go ahead and go over these last couple examples with you just to talk a little bit and not the whole way through all of those. What we have here is point K, line G. There are no labeled points here and there are arrows on either end, so this one has to be called line G. This is a ray, ZP. Again, it has to be in this order because of the endpoint Z. And the ray is going past P, so that's how I know that one has to have the arrow over it. This is a line segment, AT. You can have line segment TA here if you want it also. And then this is a plane that has to be labeled with the 3 letters in whatever order you wanted. But they have to be labeled with the 3 letters because there's not another letter just kind of floating off in space without a dot next to it. So this one you need to use those 3 letters. Here are my examples of a point T, line XJ. Again, because it is a line, you're welcome to make that JX if you wanted to. The ray is really the only one that's particular about that. The H, according to its name, is the endpoint, so it needs to make sure it is the endpoint whenever you are drawing it. DE, line segment, again, no arrows here. And then because the plane is given with 3 points, R, B, and L, I'm just going to draw a slanted rectangle, slanted square, 3 dots with the 3 letters. And that's my drawing. Moving right along into some vocabulary here, we have the terms collinear and coplanar. Collinear simply means that they are on the same line. Coplanar means that they are on the same plane. Here are a few visual examples. The collinear means that this A, B, and C are collinear because they are all on the same line. I can connect them with a single straight line, or even a single straight line segment. They are all together with one line. A, B, and C in this example are non-collinear because if I wanted to connect the 3, I would need a separate line, either going from B to C or from A to C, but it would not be a single straight line. So this example is non-collinear, this one is collinear. On the same plane, here are the 4 points. Now they are coplanar because they are all in the same plane. They are non-coplanar here because D is outside of the plane. To kind of emphasize the options here, in this example for naming, I want there to be 3 names for this particular line. Name 3 points that are collinear and 3 that are non-collinear, and naming 3 segments and 1 ray. So you can have a very simple diagram. Each of these separately are very simple diagrams, but there's a lot of information to get from it. So here are the answers. Giving 3 names for this line, line D. Line D is right there because of that cursive D. And then you have line AB or BA with the double arrows over those letters. Capital letters here. It's lowercase letter in the naming with the line D simply because that's how it is in the diagram. In B, there are a couple different options. Not really in this example. Sometimes there are a couple different options. 3 points that are collinear are going to be M, P, and Q because those are the only 3 that are on the same line, the only 3. And then non-collinear, you have your choices. N is non-collinear with all 3. Well, it is collinear with M. It's non-collinear with P and Q. So you could have N, M, P like I have here, or you could have N, M, Q. You could have N, P, Q. Here if you wanted to also. You just want to make sure that you're including N in the non-collinear because that's the one that juts off to the side. It should not be in your collinear answer since you need 3 points. And finally in example C, 3 segments and 1 ray. 3 segments, DE, like I'm just stopping from point to point. EF, GF is technically 1. You could do DF if you wanted to. But the ray has to be F first and then G, because of the way that the arrow is going and where the end point is. I know you may be tempted to write GF first because we read left to right, but in this example, F is the end point and that always has to come first. We're about to wrap up this video lesson here on points, lines, and planes. Please go ahead and complete these last 8 problems using the diagram provided. You will not find an answer in this video because some of them have multiple answers. Just go ahead and give it your best shot. As a wrap up, thanks for watching Chapter 1 Reasoning and Geometry with the second lesson on points, lines, and planes. Your lesson essential question was how do we draw and name points, lines, and planes? And the answer to that question is that a point is 1 letter and there's no dimension. A line is 2 letters with 2 arrowheads, and then specifically a plane is 3 letters with some sort of parallelogram. Thanks for watching.